Hello all my chickadees! Welcome back to my nest! It is finally spooky month, and that means I am going to be doubling down on the horror and spooky games. You know, I already play a ton of them, but now I have an excuse to play more. Okay, today we're going to be checking out Cannibal Sweetheart. Now, this one has been on my playlist for quite a while, and I never got around to it. And I want to change that. We are now playing it finally, and look at this boy. Oh my goodness. Is he holding his eyeball? That is awesome. That is awesome. I want to know why. Did he pull it out himself, or is he like, a doll and he can just pop him out as he wants? Oh. Okay, and look at that hair. Oh my god, it's so fluffy. Okay. We're gonna jump on in and see what misery this boy can bring us. Alright, let me move myself back over. I didn't want to cover him up. There we go. Look, we have the same color red and black outfit. Nice. Alright, here we go. The voice. Warning, this game contains topics and graphic depiction of gore, mutilation, religious trauma, religious horror, stalking, vomiting, sexual themes, and abuse. If you are sensitive to the contents listed, I advise you close this program. Cannibal Sweetheart is a visual project based on a fantasy premise. I, as the creator, do not condone the actions of Casanova Valentine in real life. This is a work of fiction and is intended to remain fictional. Now that you have been disclaimed, you may proceed. There you go. That's the warning for you guys. If any of that may make you uncomfortable, please click away. I want all my little chickadees to be happy, and we're gonna dive on in for everybody else who's ready to go. So buckle up, Buttercup. Tell us a little about yourself. What should we call you? Sparrow! You have such a lovely name. Thank you. Now that you know your title, we want to make sure you're referred to correctly. Personal pronouns. He. Reference pronouns. The code will keep that in mind. Thank you for your time, Sparrow. Be extremely cautious. He remembers your every decision. It would be best not to anger such an unstable individual. You never know what may happen to you. Wait. So if we mess up in the first run, does that mean he'll remember it in the second run? Oh no. There was a time where I had hope in doctors. When I first received my diagnosis, I was scared. Being set down in a cold office and told my arteries were infected terrified me. The specialist informed me that without any sort of medical interference, I wouldn't have much time left to live. We talked about treatments for a short while, considering how bad my condition gotten. She heavily emphasized an option. She recommended a full heart transplant. Oof. That's major. It was obvious the one I had was collapsing with every passing second. What with my hands pressed against my chest for personal comfort, my waking moments were spent in dull misery. With the transplant, I could feel a consistent heartbeat the moment I awoke. Oh, so we did get the transplant. Good. I know a lot of people end up being on the wait list for a long time, but we got one. Yay! I would be able to experience unrushed leisure. I could live my life the way I desired again. Her promises of removing my heartache intrigued me. I requested a spot in the waiting list, to which she named her requirements. Okay, so we didn't get the heartbeat yet. Or heart transplant yet. Okay, I read that wrong. A measly, very inexpensive $1.3 million. Ooh, that hurts. Fuck, I should have gotten better insurance. I knew I couldn't afford it at that moment, even with my life savings and the wills I stacked up from other members of my family passing. I'd only scratched a couple $100,000 from the price. A moment of silence fell between us. She rubbed my knuckles as I processed the information. What was I to do? With an apologetic tone, she advised that I take up medications in the meantime to nullify the aching. I accepted her offer, for no other choice had been brought to the conversation. Okay, so we didn't get the transplant. We need the transplant, but we didn't get the transplant. That was my last year. My condition is still getting worse, but at least the medicines are delaying my inevitable end. Which reminds me, I need to finish the pharmacy later today for my medication refill. Cyanide left me a voicemail about that last night. Cyanide? You have a friend named Cyanide? Beta blockers won't keep me alive for as long as I like, but maybe long enough to find other sources of money, as my friend called it, which has guided me down the path of black markets. Oh, we got a little doll here. A lot of medicine bottles. It's eye-opening to say the least. For each sick service provided, there was even more sick customers willing to throw thousands for that service. I mean, we're desperate. We need that money or we're gonna die. Sites.doc. Fucked Up Desires, which is a brothel. Sellyourself.bro. Another brothel. Chatterbait Black. Torture porn. Vesdates, bug chasing, Mary Jane basement weed, which is weed. Love this shop. Two dimension pew firearms. Gutterrooms.red, red rooms. Hacker for hire 707, literally what it says. I love that it says 707. I don't know if that's a code for something, but 707 makes me think of the character 707 from Mystic Messenger because he was a hacker. That's perfect. Hitman.gov, again, self-explanatory. Elon Musk bank accounts. This is crypto. Totally real NFT crypto miner. My cursor hovered over incomprehensible links on a document I had on the side, looking for any key terms my friend provided that might help. It was nice having connections. Yeah, I mean, we need all the connections we can get if we're gonna survive. Most of these are just crypto miners. The hell am I supposed to do with those? My eyes continued scanning the highlighted text. A lot of prostitution services, too. Could I make enough money sleeping with random degenerates? Would our heart be able to handle it, is my question. Because that would accelerate your heart rate a lot, and it might really damage you. You might die from a heart attack. I could, but knowing the kind of crowd that lurked these forsaken sites, I would be either trafficked or murdered. Okay, those two. You know, those two. Those are valid points. I sighed, scrolling past the brothel sites. I mean, he could post nudes, you know? Do I even want to know what bug chasing is? Probably not. Yes, I do. I have a feeling it's not the insects, is it? I have a nice cup of tea, so that's why I keep pausing, because if I forget it, it will become very cold. I click on the link, viewing the tab that quickly popped onto my screen. The site. Dress yourself with a new infection? HIV, herpes, HPV, chlamydia, syphilis, gonorrhea, lice. Ugh. Maybe if I wasn't edging death, I can make it far in this market. Sadly, heart disease isn't that contagious, nor is it the kind of disease these people are looking for. Though I must admit, it's nicely organized. So, people paying money to get that infections. I closed the page. It seemed as if I've gone through the provided links already. For the document, I wouldn't scroll any farther. I assumed I would have to bother Parasite to look for more options. That was until a new cursor on the screen caught my gaze. With a piqued interest, I leaned forward to follow it closely. I moved around in erratic circles before typing something into my search bar. You should try this one. I heard the prices were pretty good if you need to buy from a cheap source. Organs for less? Within a second, a new link was pasted onto the page. A newfound hope sparked within me. I guess somehow my colleague figured out I went through all the sites already. Though a strange feeling in my gut emerged. That spark of hope drowned it within sudden dread. I thought for a moment. The timing seemed awfully convenient. My friend's not usually up at 4 in the morning. Maybe it's not your friend. It could be this hacker for hire, you know? I hovered my cursor over the pasted test, almost as if I was hesitating. There wasn't anything indicating what the site may be. Unease enveloped my senses. It says organs for less. I think it's something to do with selling organs, buddy. It's not like I have much of a choice, though. Beggars can't be skeptics. Valentine's Anatomy Distribution. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Let's see, we need something cardiovascular. Shopping list with a little heart. When I left-clicked, the site loaded almost immediately. Shades of red, black, and gold replaced the white that once accompanied my monitor. Plasters of text decorated the left side, while directories were listed on the right side. I scrolled down a little bit to see more photographs of cut open carcasses present in the gallery. Cavities were held open by clasps of metal. Fond memories of my high school psychology class came to mind. Physiology class came to mind. He's serious, ain't he? Aesthetically, it wasn't too bad. I read the title text aloud to myself. Valentine's Anatomy Distribution. Whether you're in dire need of a replacement body part, or looking for something to spice up your dinner parties, Valentine's Anatomy Distribution has a wide selection of organs, bones, and even whole cadavers for you to choose from. If you need any assistance, contact our lead harvester. Thank you for supporting your local family business. Organ trafficking doesn't usually come to mind when people think of family businesses, but whatever pays the bills, I guess. I glanced at the directories on the side. Body parts were separated into categories, making it a whole lot easier to navigate. It seemed like categories were determined by systems of the body. Cardiovascular, muscular, skeletal, and some reason, reproductive to name a few. Sick freaks. I navigated myself to the cardiovascular category. Blood cartons? No. Arteries? No. Lungs? Shouldn't that be in a respiratory catalog? Oh, here we go. I scrolled through the selection of hearts available for purchase. The product displayed were awfully graphic. Well, they're making sure you know it's the real deal. Oh wow, are they showing like who it came from too? Dang. Majority of the organs were displayed beneath photos of younger donors. If we can even call them that. I had no idea why these photos were necessary. All I needed were the prices. I couldn't help but pay some attention to the photos, though. They were taken like mugshots, yet not a single pair of eyes had any sort of life within them. Their cold stare sent a shiver down my spine. It didn't help my case that a majority of them looked like those I knew in the past. I swallowed uncomfortably. Oh, so they look a little bit like people you used to know. They might be people you used to know. My phone started erratically vibrating against my desk. I glanced at the screen to check the contact. Caller unknown. I stared at the dim light, mentally calculating who this might be. Maybe my colleague had to get a new burner phone? It wasn't rare of it to lose one every 3 weeks. Seemed awfully suspect, though. The timing, the phone call, the lack of information. I wasn't even sure this was my colleague anymore. He usually preferred text over calls anyway. My hand lingered an inch above my phone, trying to decide if I should pick up. Oh, we get to choose. Okay, save. Let's answer. I answered the call, leaning back against my chair with my eyes fixated on the site. Who is this? Oh, Corazon, what happened to hello? How are you? Always gotta be suspicious, huh? A smooth, accented voice emitted from the speaker. I rolled my eyes at the response it gave me. What a charmer. I have every right to be suspect, don't I? Yeah, but you don't need to be so rude. I could practically hear the pout in his voice. It's not like I was trying to come off as ill-mannered, but it's also not like I enjoy calls from strangers. In this day and age, who does enjoy calls from strangers? It's normally a scam call. Or telemarketer or something. And you don't need to be so dismissive of my question, but you seem awfully avoidant on telling me who you are. I heard him laugh a little bit beneath his breath. I could almost picture him lying on a bed on his stomach, twirling his hair around his finger and kicking his legs like a high school student talking to their week-long partner. Because it's fun hearing you like this, all confused and annoyed. God, it's attractive. I'm starting to think this guy's getting off on this. Nonetheless, I play long. Maybe I'd be a little less annoyed if you at least gave me a hint of who you really are. I like knowing who I'm talking to. Oh, amor. I thought you would have gotten the idea by now. But I guess since your brain is as dysfunctional as your heart, I'll be nice and give you a clue. I never wanted to sock someone in the jaw as much as I do right now. Wait, how does he know about our heart? Wait, did he? I'm your friendly little organ harvester. Harvester? Oh, this guy must be from the distribution. That makes sense, but we hadn't contacted him yet. Wait, did my VPN expire? Was I no longer anonymous? How the hell did you get my number? I have my ways. So a heart, huh? I bet those arteries are practically suffocating. What with the amount of plaque infested in them, huh? Poor thing. It didn't take me longer than a second to process his words. My stomach dropped at his questions, my dread only growing worse. See, I've taken quite a liking to you, so I wanted to offer some assistance. I even guided you to my little shop. You'd be stupid not to accept my help. You can't be fucking serious. Oh, but I am. I know all about your little condition. Mi vida. Fatty vessels and breathless misery. Coronary artery disease be damned. Reluctantly, I chuckled in agreement with his statement. While it was strange that he knew more than he should about me, his equable demeanor almost balanced his uncanniness. I guess since I have the friendly organ harvester on the line, I might as well ask for his assistance. So, how much would a basic functioning heart cost me? You know you have the site open, right? You can just check there. I heard him snicker to himself. Well, it's more like a gremlin giggle. Every vowel was enunciated by his dorkish tone before he ended his little giggle episode with a deep sigh. Nah, I actually got a deal for you. Something I've never offered to any other customer. Don't you feel so special, sweetheart? Don't patronize me, harvest freak. What's your offer? I'll hook you up with a fresh and healthy heart, along with a surgeon who won't ask questions about your procedure. If you let me take you out on a date. His proclamation caught me off guard. If I knew I could date my way into a surgery, I would have just joined one of the brothels I had at hand. Despite all common sense screaming at me, I egged him on with intrigue. What kind of date? Like going out to dinner? Only if you're the main course. I couldn't help but laugh at his stupid joke. Though, thinking back on what this guy does for a living, he may not be kidding. Yeah, is he for real with us, or would he be harvesting us as well? You know that cemetery a couple blocks away from the pharmacy? The one with the creepy angel statues and the intricate gravestones? Las Valles Cemetery? Yes, that one! I was thinking we could grab some snacks, walk around for a bit, see how the people of Las Vegas met their doom. A basic get-to-know-you date. If we have a nice time, I'll get you that surgery. What do you say, mi vida? Like, it's probably not a good idea, but, you know, he's dangling a discounted heart and a surgeon in front of us, and we're already on the black market looking for options, so yeah. Alright, you got yourself a date. Deadass? Deadass. What? Is that a saying or something? I could hear excited yells of Spanish erupt from the other line. An unconscious smile took advantage over my lips as I listened to him hype himself up. Though his cheers were short-lived once he remembered I was still on the call. He cleared his throat and apologized. So, meet you at the pharmacy at 6 tonight? A late date night, huh? Well, sure, but I don't even know what you look like, or even your name. How should I know you're not just gonna ditch? I'm not that kind of guy, Corazon, I promise. Look for a dude with white wavy hair and a red sweater. Oh god, did I just agree to a date with an old man? Hey, shut it, heart disease. I'll see you then. Wait. Before I could ask for his name, he left the call, leaving me in silence. I sighed, setting my phone back into the desk. Well, it says Valentine's anonymity distribution, so I'm gonna take it his name's Valentine. Alright, so we got a date with a random guy who's going to hook us up with a heart. Got it. I closed the tabs on my computer and tossed myself onto the bed. I decided to catch a quick nap so I didn't look like death by the time I met this nameless stranger. Yeah, wasn't it like 4:30 a.m.? Did I say 6 p.m. or 6 a.m.? My body melted into the covers, as did my distraughtness into nothing. A yawn erupted from my lips. My eyelids inclined, forcing my eyes shut as fatigue controlled my sickly form. I could only hope my desperations didn't lead me to my demise. God damn it. Oh! Ooh, look at those boots. These spiky boots. Slay. Cool. I don't know what that is on the top shelf, but there's a little skull. Is that Monster cans? Monster energy drinks? Oh, got some little figures. Cute. Candles. Looks like a little note. Some cool books. Files, records. Tarot cards. Some posters. Oh, and a little like plague doctor head. That's cute. Okay. Back. The sensation of my phone vibrating against my covers forced me from slumber's sweet grasp. A groan of annoyance emitting from my dry lips. Accompanying my alarm was thin rays of light sneaking past the glass and onto my face to wake me up. It felt miserable. I fluttered my hand around my mattress in attempts to find my device, numbly tiring to myself as I did so. Once I felt the vibrating object within my hand, I picked it up and glared at the screen. The screen read an overly familiar name. Upon reading said name, I sighed and prepared myself for its usual enthusiastic greeting. Oh, we got a phone call. I thought it was our alarm going off. With heavy reluctance, I answered the call. Oh, Parasite, this is, our friend we were talking about. Good morning. Hi. Are you still alive? My God, dude. Yes, Perry, I'm still alive. Don't worry. Good. I always wondered how Parasite could be so loud and energetic moment after getting out of bed. I started suspecting that it was snorting straight caffeine. It wouldn't be an unusual of it after all. I heard a sniffle. You sound like you just woke up after getting your ass beat in the middle of a corner store parking lot. Yeah, no shit. I was sleeping just fine before you woke me up. I have a date later tonight, so I want to at least look like I didn't crawl out of a grave 3 minutes prior. Oh, okay. Sorry, man. It fell silent for a moment, processing the comment I made, soon breaking said silence with a shallow gasp. What? Oh my God, you got yourself a date after all this time? My little sparrow's finally getting some bitches. I scoffed and laughed at its melodramatic response. Oh, shut up. You're so annoying. Oh my God. Nah, you're lying. You couldn't live without me. Who's the lucky person, though? Well, should I tell Parasite about the engagement? Okay, we're gonna save again. Tell Parasite what happened, lie about the encounter. Parasite's probably gonna be highly concerned about us. Considering how it practically led me into the arms of an organ-obsessed stranger that might save my life, might as well be truthful about it. You know how you gave me a bunch of sites and markets to look through last night? Oh yeah, did any of them work out for you? Sorta. It was weird though. Some guy somehow got into my monitor and linked another site into the document. Valentine's Anatomy something something, I think it was called. The guy that called me said he was a harvester for the company. Looking back, I think I saw his face in a couple of photos. Parasite didn't give me a response. Even as I waited, it remained quiet. Eerily quiet. You still there, bro? I assumed it was too busy getting ready for the day, so I continued. We should probably check the VPN and see if it expired when I get home, by the way. But then the guy called me up and offered me a deal. He said if I went on a date with him, he'd get me a heart transplant. What did he sound like? His voice didn't have its usual boisterous volume, giving me a small sense of worry. Maybe I said something that irked it? Or, you know, they're concerned about us now? Still, I had informed it too much. If I backed out now, it would bombard me with questions later. I continued my story. He had a smooth Spanish accent, kept calling me nicknames like Mi Vida and Corazon too. I'm not butchering those, am I? I think Mi Vida is my life, and Corazon is heart. If I'm correct? Maybe? Did he at least tell you his name? That's the thing. Before I could ask, he ditched a call. All he said that was he had white hair and a red sweater. That's a little suspicious. Where are you guys going? He's not taking you out of the city, right? Upon taking the hint of its concern, my lips curved into a gentle smile and set up, approaching my rack of clothes to see what attire I would want it to adorn for the date. No, don't worry. We're meeting at the pharmacy, then going down the cemetery a few blocks away. I heard a small sigh, assuming of relief, escape my best friend. If your date goes to shit or he tries to murder you, call me, okay? I'll be there as soon as I can. I noticed its tone of voice drop to a more stern level. It's not common for it to be this serious. Like at all. I laughed in an attempt to ease the over-erecting tension between us. Erecting. Yep, we're like 5. Oh, I just noticed. That's like an incense burner. It's a little skeleton. That's an incense burner. Okay, I just noticed that. Relax. It'll be okay. But if I die, I'll leave my incense collection to you. I will vandalize your grave if you die, dumbass. A short cackle erupted from its lips, followed by another shallow sigh. My fucking mentor's gonna kill me if I'm late again. But be careful, babes. Call me later. Mwah. Mwah. I said goodbye and left the call, tossing my phone back onto my bed after checking the time and asserting my gaze back onto the rack. Fuck, did I really sleep that long? Regardless, I shuffled through the selection of clothes I had before me, taking account of what kind of look I desired before pulling what I wanted and hauling ass into the shower. Because sweat feels absolutely rancid. Well, we told a friend, so they will know something's up if we don't return, so that's good. I spent the next hour or so getting ready for my date. The deepening bags beneath my eyes didn't completely disappear, but it wasn't as if they didn't budge, which was all that mattered to me. As I was about to head out the door, my body halted me. Was this really my idea method for getting my heart transplant? Was I really this desperate for the heartache to stop? Am I going to be safe? I sighed heavily. I recognized that it would be no use in me to ditch our date. What with the accusations that the stranger would do such a thing hours prior. My digits wrapped themselves around the doorknob. With one final deep breath, followed by a sharp sting that brought my abdomen parallel to my thighs, I opened the door and made my way to the pharmacy. I need to be careful. Yeah. Wait, is that blood stain in the corner over there? You guys see that too, right? I'm not... Okay, look. I moved. It's that little bitty spot right there next to my shoulder. Is that freaking blood stain? Did somebody get murdered around the corner? Dude. Valentine, did you do that? That's blood. The scenery outside was like any other day. Fog plagued the darkening sky, allowing the neon lights of the pharmacy sign to illuminate the parking lots and surrounding plazas. Approaching the entrance, my eyes glazed the scenery, looking for a figure with the descriptions the stranger informed me of during the phone call. White hair, red sweater. White hair, red sweater. White hair. I think that's him. Oh, hello, buddy. Ooh, he's got 2 different colored eyes. Ooh, that is definitely some fluffy hair. Ooh, hey, buddy. How'd you get our number? Standing against the medical structure was a thin man embellished in black and red. White locks of hair strained to different directions around his head, front strands encapsulating his face to further amplify his features. His eyes were dual-colored, one as black as tar and the other a light shade of baby pink. His face was garnished with a heavy layer of blush that faded into the rest of his skin. 2 almost unnoticeable hearts adorned the spaces beneath his eyes. He had 2 facial piercings as well, his bridge silver and his brow gold. Oh, that's like at the top of his nose, like, wait, brow? Bridge silver, okay. Cool. I didn't notice the piercings. Nice. On his soft lips set an effortless smile, matching perfectly with the rest of his expression. His stance, fingertips kissing each other, completed his first impression. I couldn't help but think he was... Okay, attractive or displeasing? Let's just say attractive. Attractive, for lack of a better term, like a fresh piece of eye candy. To my relief, he really wasn't an old man. Yet, no amount of attractiveness would persuade me to forgive him for his little dysfunctional brain comment. Nonetheless, I think I can live with glancing at him for the rest of the night. Even if the day went awry, at least the man was fairly good looking. His eyes, they looked oddly familiar. Gorgeous, but familiar. Have we seen him looking at us before? Oh, I had an idea. You know on the cover screen where he was like holding an eye out? What if these aren't really his eyes? Because he deals with like organ transplants and pieces of body. What if he's changed his eyes and those are like eyes of maybe people we knew before, because we've had people dying around us. Oh, did he steal people's eyes? Oh, that would make sense why they're like so different. I needed to keep my guard up, but in an attempt to appear friendly, I smiled and waved as I got closer to the man. Oh, cute. I could see his expression change at the sight of me, his eyes whitening and pupils dilating. Huh. I didn't think I could have such an effect on a stranger. Mi vida? You actually made it. You know, you're as hot as is, but it's way better seeing you up close. I fought a blush from burning through my skin. I would have rather dragged my face across barbed wire entangled around broken glass than allow myself to appear vulnerable in front of a stranger. Ouch! What the heck? Drag your face across barbed wire entangled around broken glass? Oh. You're awfully bold for a first encounter. He gave me a pleased hum, taking my hand and bringing it close to his lips. I could feel his breath against my skin, the fruity aroma of his breath accompanying the rest of his scent. Cherry-scented men's cologne, I noted. I'll have to ask what brand he uses. Only for you, amor. He gave every individual knuckle a chaste kiss, keeping eye contact with me as he kissed his way across my hand. I smiled back at him, realizing that while he was getting quite comfortable with me, I didn't even know his name. It didn't feel right going out with someone I didn't even know on a first-name basis. Aren't you a charmer? Why don't you tell me your name? You never told me when you asked me out. Aww, where are my manners? He proceeded to drop my left hand, taking my right into his gentle grasp and bringing it to take my left's former place. Casanova Valentine at your service, amor. Now that's a name. That's a full name right there. You don't hear Casanova as much. As he did with the hand he held prior, every knuckle was knighted with a fluttering kiss. He started with my index, continuing across the appendix until the final knuckle was given his affection. He let go of my hand and allowed me to come back to my usual stance. I assumed he already knew who I was. Well, I heard him call me by my own name, so I didn't bother with a self-introduction. Can't say I heard a name like that before. I'm deciding to take that as a compliment. Thank you. Whatever helps you sleep at night. You weren't lying to me about that surgery, were you? Of course not. I will never lie to someone who needs as much help as you do, mi vida. Oh yeah? Remind me of how sick I am, won't ya? He'll be thanking me later tonight. He took a step in front of the glass doors, disclosing one and gesturing his free hand for me to go inside. What a gentleman. Shall we go? Shall we, sweetheart? Our date is actually at the pharmacy. I'm still looking at that blood stain on the corner. I mean, look at it. I rolled my eyes, flickering his clearly visible forehead as I made my way into the... Oh, we flicked it in the forehead. Flicking his clearly visible forehead as I made my way into the pharmacy. The sweet scent of disinfectant and the small chimes of the entrance happily greeted us. Letting myself indulge further into the aurora, I took in the familiar scenery. Figures glided through the aisles, searching for medicines, contraceptions, or snacks that they had in mind. Mindless chatter arose among a couple of them, adding to the ambience of the facility. Huh. Most of the eye drops are gone. I glanced forward, noticing that the last person in line for the pharmacy had just left the window, leaving the space and the woman running the counter open for grabs. I locked eye with the pharmacist. She smiled brightly and offered a welcoming wave, motioning for me to visit her. She also had my medication ready for preparation, which I had remembered a moment later. I glanced over to Casanova to let him know of my responsibility, to which I was met with a sight of him head deep in the beverage cooler. He getting a dwank. He's a thirsty boy. He created strange shapes within the condensation with his finger, his neutral smile never leaving his face as he mindlessly doodled. When he looked back towards me, he seemed taken aback by the fact I was already staring at him. He flinched and quickly grabbed a couple of drinks. I noted one to be a drink I often picked up when I visited. He knows. He held it closer to my vision. You like these kind of drinks, right? How the hell did you know? With a bright and prideful smile, he shut the cooler's door with his ankle. There's a lot of things I know about you and more. Can't blame me for being observant. One could argue that his behaviors were extremely stalker-like. But once again, I had kept my suspicions on the down low. I averted my gaze back to the RX center. Think about the transplant. Think about the transplant. I gotta pick up my meds real quick. Is that cool? I noticed Casanova glance over at the vacant window across the room, seemingly taking in the sight of the woman, then back at me. His smile was still on his face, yet it didn't seem to reach his eyes anymore. Yeah, I'll be there in a second. His tone audibly shifted, causing my stomach to drop. Did he have an issue with me picking up my medicine? Or was there a deeper problem I hadn't learned about yet? I left his vicinity before uncomfortable curiosity overwhelmed me and made my way in front of the pharmacist's window. Oh, hello. That's cute. I like your hair. Green and black. Kind of blend into the background. Got a little rainbow flower and an eye patch. Are you missing an eye, sweetie? In front of me now stood the compassionate pharmacist that allows me to call her Cyanide. Oh, yeah. This is who notified us that our prescription needed to be picked up. She always called me the night before my pickups and kept conversation going even after I had the bill bottles in my grasp. We immediately got along after our first engagement when my prescription had been requested. I was nervous about the new medications, but she answered every question and eased every concern I opened up to her about. With her, I don't really have the option to skip out on taking my beta blockers, especially with how much she seemed to care about my well-being. Sparrow, hi! Welcome back. It's nice to see you at 6:30 in the evening. Her voice was within the cusp of chirps and sultry whispers, the sort of tone that you would expect from a public service worker, except her tone was much softer. Her gentle manners were a drastic contrast to the common disorder that occurs in my day-to-day life. So, my medicine pickups were a breath of fresh air. I laughed softly at her joke, my hand placing itself on my chest once again. It became a habit to do so when I entertained another's thoughts, in case my chuckles mutated into heartburn once again. It was a painful experience I wouldn't wish on to anyone. Despite my deeply endowed anxiety, I offered a casual laugh. Well, oversleeping kind of kicked my ass earlier. At least you got my voicemail and you're here now. That's all that matters, right? Her ability to forgive so easily was an attribute I admired about her. She reached beneath her desk and took out a bottle of beta blockers and a contraption. Oh my goodness, I cannot read. A contraption she used to prepare my bottles. She took note that I liked watching the preparation progress, so it became part of our routine. My eyes glanced down to the desk as she poured the bills onto the plastic. Leaning into the countertop, I fixed my gaze below and counted the capsules with her. Sorry I couldn't return your call. I had shit to deal with. Oh, that's never good to hear. Buttercup, is everything okay? Before I could answer her question, a certain harvester materialized beside me. I flinched at his sudden presence, a curse revealing itself beneath my breath. Mi vida, did you manage to get your... He interrupted his sentence as he made eye contact with the pharmacist. The two stared at each other in silence, discomfort molding into the atmosphere. Her emerald eye refused to offer its gaze to the self-garnished figure by my side. The tones drastically became more hostile towards each other. Oh, they know each other. Valentine. Lavinga? I assumed you already picked up your medication last week. I'm not here for some stupid pills. My date just needs his meds. Date? Side and I glanced at the two of us back and forth, soon coming to the realization with a saddened look. Oh, Sparrow, I thought you would have learned from my mistakes. Her tone made her sound as if she was disappointed, forcing a sting of guilt into my chest. Oh, boo-hoo. Gia? As soon as his meds are ready, we'll be out of your sight. I would prefer if you were out of my sight immediately. This transaction doesn't concern you. And I would prefer it if you were left for dead, gutted open at the side of the street. You would like that, wouldn't you? Oh my gosh, they really don't like each other. Are they exes? Agitation arose, leaving me in the middle of the two quarrelers. As much as it felt as if I had front seats to an exclusive telenova, the supposed excitement of the drama was drowned within sickening distress. I just wanted my beta blockers. I knew I had to break the horrid silence, otherwise just the stress of the situation alone would put me at the risk of a heart attack. You two know each other? Yeah, you know, do you guys know each other? I can't tell. I can't tell at all. I asked. The hostility only grew stronger, but I couldn't resist giving in to curiosity at that moment. Really is a small world, huh? Unfortunately, it was a one-time occurrence, though. Nothing I'd worry about, Buttercup. Stealing a glance at Casanova, his eyes glared daggers at the woman across from him, almost as if he was trying to slaughter her with his eyes alone. Knowing the kind of person he is, he most likely was. He seemed especially annoyed at the endearing nickname the shorter woman endowed to me. Cyanide leaned forward in my direction, her lips grazing the side of my cheek as she handed me the package. Don't let that man out of your sight, all right? I froze for a second, a sense of dread washing over my entire being as she backed away. The hell did she mean by that? Yeah, she knows more about him. She was awfully aggrieved at my current situation, given by the troubled glances she spared me. Should I have said no to Casanova's proposal? I should have, I thought, until the eternal dread only got worse once I thought about what might have happened to me if I rejected his ever so kind offer. When I glanced back at him, his heterochromatic eyes were already fixated on my form. His expression barely altered from the bitter glare to a look that resembled a resting bitch face. Either way, it wasn't a kind look until he somehow processed that he had my attention. Only then did he give me a comforting smile. Once he's sure we're looking at him, he's like, "Hi!" Little sunshine face. What was he thinking? Cyanide sober expression switched itself out for her classic customer service smile in less than a second. Have fun during your date, you two. Be careful. Everybody plastering on a fake smile, huh? Her tone shifted at the word date. I knew damn well she directed that be careful comment towards me, even without her eye contact. I muttered back a farewell, making my way towards the exit with Casanova in tow. Like, okay, troublemaker, let's get out of here, grumpy boy. As soon as we stepped out of the facility, the tension immediately ceased. Casanova relieved his lungs of a heavy sigh. Fuck, that felt like a drag. Oh, you're the one who felt uncomfortable? Well, yeah. Lav was the one who made everything uncomfortable. You picked up on that, right? How she completely changed her demeanor when I came to check up on you. Okay, let's see. She could have been more professional. You were also being a dick. You were kind of being a dick. This time we're gonna try to be, like, more nice to him and see if we can... I didn't think she would give you such a cold shoulder, dude. Exactly! Sure, we've had bad encounters, but that was one time. I tried to apologize, but she wouldn't listen. She threw me my testosterone refilled and shooed me away. Oh, you take testosterone? Oh, is he trans? Is he trans? Aww. Or maybe he has a disorder. Aww. That doesn't sound like something Cyanide would do. Either she heavily resents him, or something more sinister that I remain unknowing of. It didn't seem like he wanted to remain on the subject matter, for he linked his free arm around mine, his fingers slipping between the crevices of my knuckles, and changed the subject. But enough about that. There's a lot I want to show you, sweetheart. There's this really pretty crypt on the other side of the cemetery, surrounded by those statues I told you about. Have you ever heard of the 1999 Valentine Massacre? I'm sorry, what? We're about to learn, I think. Ignoring my shock, he pulled me away from the entrance to the pharmacy and towards the direction of the cemetery grounds with immense excitement. Fuck. This guy is going to be the death of me. Oh, thank you so much for downloading the official demo of Cannibal, sweetheart. Come back in 2023 for the full experience. Oh, cool. Would anything have changed? Okay, what happens if we said you were being a dick? Gutted at the side of the road? Don't you think that's a bit much? All she asked was that you leave. Casanova's face visibly shifted, his eyes devoid of any other emotion than what I guessed was hurt. He said nothing, but his silence spoke for him. Was he not used to getting called out on his bullshit? We both stood, growing more and more uncomfortable with each passing second. My eyes darted around for something else to look at. Anything, as long as it wasn't him. His presence made me uneasy. Oh, that's a cool lamp. Oh, he talking in Spanish. I'm not gonna try because I will butcher that so bad. His sudden statement caught me off guard. My gaze was averted back to his eyes, those stupid, lifeless eyes of his that stared at the ground as he muttered beneath his breath. What? Realizing that I heard what he said, he relieved himself of another heavy sigh. Nothing more. Just thinking out loud. He's so disappointed that we said he was a dick. He shook his head and straightened himself up. His usual smile returned to his face, giving me a much more hospitable expression. Scarred fingers soon encapsulated themselves around my left hand. Why don't we start heading over? Okay, and then we're going back to the Valentine Massacre. Okay. Alright, this time we got this kind of ending. Oh, okay. Hang on. Ignore. Huh, he was disappointed in us that time. What if we start back? Okay, I am now going to go through the other options in this demo to see what else we're missing. Because we got to cover everything, you know? Yeah. And also, I don't know when or if we're going to get a full game. Because it is 2023, almost the end of 2023. And unfortunately, the game has been deleted off the internet. This demo has. So, I don't know. And the dev is completely gone. Has deleted like all their pages from what I gather. So, we might never get a full game. But we might. We might one day. But, so, I am definitely going to check out all the options in this demo. I declined the call. Probably just some fucking scam. My gaze went back to my monitor, attempting to avert my attention back to the task at hand. When the buzzing started again, as it did before, I rejected the caller on the other line, but it kept calling. No matter how many times I declined, it kept ringing. It seemed that whoever was on the other line was desperate to reach me. Or maybe they were desperate to reach someone else and got the numbers confused. I found myself hoping it was the latter. Encounters from strangers discomforted me. Even after the 7th rejection, he is not giving up, is he? My phone continued vibrating against the metal desk. Resisting the urge to chuck it at my bedroom wall, I answered. What? Took you long enough to answer me, Evita. I was starting to get impatient. Me, Vita? Was he trying to call a lover? Or maybe a girl at a bar gave him some arbitrary digit so he'd leave her alone, and I was unlucky enough to get dialed. You totally could have taken the hint that you got the wrong number. I don't even know who you are. What? I'm almost hurt. Of course you know me. I'm your friendly little organ harvester. Harvester? Oh, this guy must be from the distribution. That makes sense. Okay, and then it's going to what we've seen before. What was this? Okay, we're going to say no. We're not going to go on a date with him. Yeah, I'm not convinced. You're not taking me out. What? I said I don't want to go out with you. I don't know who the hell you are or how you know me, and I'm not willing to risk my life for a stupid date. I'll just find some other source for surgery. Don't fucking contact me again. I got no response from the other line. Taking this as a sign that he wasn't going to answer any farther, I hung up. That guy wasn't normal. Nothing about that entire interaction was normal. If I agreed to that stupid date, I probably would have become a donor myself. I wasn't going to let myself become something to spice up some freak's dinner party. I set my phone down on the desk, letting a heavy sigh escape my lips. Discomfort edged its way throughout my body. Did Parasite link my number to my VPN somehow? Was that even possible? How did he know so much about my condition? Was I being stalked? Probably. Questions overwhelmed me. My mind desperately tried to come up with possibilities that wouldn't lead me to another spiral. Yet I had nothing. Minutes of silence brought me no answer. I am concerned. That was until I heard glass shatter onto the ground behind me. Was he outside our window? I quickly turned around, my ill heart banging against the confines of my ribs. The glass trickled down from the windowsills, forming piles of physical hazards on my bedroom floor. The darkness outside didn't assist my vision, for I didn't see anything, or anyone, that caused my window to shatter. My breath shook from my lungs. I didn't know if I wanted the culprit to disclose itself or stay hidden. One hand reached behind me, scurrying across the desk for anything I could use as a weapon. My digits wrapped around the first sharp object I could find and effaced it in front of me, of my trembling form. I got out of my chair and backed away from the window. My heart started racing faster, causing my chest to burn in an indescribably painful manner. My stomach churned violently. It felt as if I was going to vomit. I should be hiding. I should be calling the police. I should be getting as far away from this threat as possible. Yet, I found myself unable to move from my position. A couple more shards fell into the ground to join the rest of the broken glass shattered below. Out of nowhere, droplets of liquid followed suit, gliding down remaining glass before ultimately falling down. What the fuck? More droplets came before they formed a thin stream of red is blood. I glanced over to the source of the crimson waterfall, my breath getting caught in my throat when I saw injured fingers gripping the windowsill. Did he freaking punch our window? Dude. There's someone breaking into my home. And not being discreet about it. Was he just chilling outside of our window this whole time? I kept myself armed and watched as the figure made its way from the darkness and into my vision. The lighting from my monitor gave me some insight of what the stranger looked like. He has a chainsaw! Why do you have a chainsaw? Oh, we have more figures this way. But why do you have a chainsaw? Okay, you do you. You do you. It was thin, dangerously thin, with hair that looked as if it hadn't been taken care of in ages. Scrawny body parts stayed within the remaining structure. I couldn't make out its face. Not much of it anyway. All I could really see were dull, heterochromic eyes staring at me. They didn't blink. They didn't move. It didn't move. I can hear it breathing. We stood without another word, staring at each other. My weapon remained in front of my chest in case it charged at me. It seemed at a neutral state at the moment, though. Without thinking, I spoke. Who the hell are you? Why are you in my house? What do you want from me? It didn't speak, but instead raised an arm and pointed at me. I grew more discomforted by the stranger's silence. Not just discomforted, but annoyed as well. Use your fucking words. Don't you just break into my house and stare at me, asshole. Speak up or get out. I yelled in an attempt to scare it off. Maybe get it to talk to me. I at least want to know who the stranger is before it inevitably hurts or even kills me. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? Why are they just standing there? Are they going to do anything? Do I want him to do anything? The pain in my chest is getting worse. We're gonna have a heart attack. We're gonna have a freaking heart attack from this. I just wanted to see you, mi vida. A familiar masculine voice laced with emotional hurt in a Spanish accent. That awful nickname. Wait. No. How the fuck do they know where I live? Why are they in my house? Something audibly brushed against the glass, catching my attention. A metal plank rimmed with spikes cascading into a bulky handle that the harvester held with one hand. A chainsaw. Realizing they were armed with such a dangerous tool caused me more panic. Their gaze was still fixated on me. My eyes strayed to the chainsaw, refusing to meet their stare. Are you here to kill me? Is that what you want? I stuttered. I couldn't contain my overwhelming terror anymore. My voice shook as I called out to them. Oh, our only option. Answer me, you freak! That's chainsaw noises. We about to die. Be chopped up in little sparrow pieces. The stranger lunged from the window into my direction. I screamed and shut my eyes out of instinct. The sound of the saw revving became as prominent as the injury it gashed into my stomach, not even a second after. They forced me to drop my weapon, and my body stumbled to the ground with an agonizing screech. I didn't have time to react to the vicious material gushing out of my wound. They straddled my lap, keeping me pinned down. Each leg was thrown on either side of my body, their weight just below the draining injury. I could hear them plant their tool above my head. I couldn't do anything to stop them. The blades of their saw scraped the top of my scalp, making me hiss in pain. I kept my eyes screwed shut, wanting nothing more than for them to leave my sight. Come on, mi amor. Please look at me. I just want to look into your eyes one last time. I wasn't going to give in to their desires, especially not before they were going to slaughter me. I kept my eyes closed. I heard them sigh in disappointment. I love you. I love you so much. My heart can't handle how much I love you. Please, forgive me, Corazon. They professed their adoration for me with a quivering voice, cold drops of liquid falling into my face. Were they crying? They gave me chaste kisses, their lips warm and soft against my skin. They placed one final kiss to my lips, strands of their unkempt hair brushing against my face as they retreated. Now I can really have you to myself. I could barely make out the quiet sobs beneath the saw revving into my skull. I screamed. I screamed until my vocal cords fried within my throat. I screamed until I couldn't hear myself scream anymore. I screamed until my last sense abandoned my body. I could feel my organs splitting in half. I could feel myself splitting in half. I felt nothing but excruciating pain until the darkness took me as its own. No, until the intruder took me as their own. Oh, the stranger stole your heart. Yeah, he did. Oh my God. Oh, he wasn't kidding. He didn't like that rejection. But, ooh, look at this. He's a little crazy. Looks like he's crying. Blood splatter. This is us. Covered in blood. Yeah, he kind of chopped our head in half. Alright. That was crazy. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it to go like that, but holy crap. Is that the only possible one? Okay, let's look really quick. Load. Let's pick up here. Lie about the encounter. Remembering how emotional it gets when I put myself in stupid, dangerous situation, I thought it best to keep everything vague for now. I got out of bed and approached my collection of clothes. Some still standing on the rack like life support, and others to fester on the carpet below. My mind raced for a harmless lie. Oh, none of the sites you gave me were really catching my eye, so I fucked around on Heart Wanders and found a guy. And the first lie that escaped my lips was that of a dating site. You are dying of a heart disease, and your main priority became getting your dick wet. Yeah. Not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time. You know what? At least you won't die a virgin. Oh, fuck you. When? I walked into that one. I heard it cackle at my last response. Where are y'all meeting up? The pharmacy at first, then heading over to the cemetery. If you fuck in my casket, I'm gonna break into your house and steal your figurines. I spent good money on those figurines. Kiss my dick. Yeah, good money you could have saved for a heart transplant, says the guy who spent 2 months worth of rent on weed. A dramatic gasp escapes my friend's pierced lips, allowing me to imagine their expression, one that made me giggle from the thought of it. Would we ever see what Parasite looked like? Because we're getting like little details. Because apparently he's got a pierced lip, or they have a pierced lip. I hope your heart fails just before you nut. Oh, that's mean. Oh, you're evil. What time's your little date? I gotta be ready and at the pharmacy by 6. You have like an hour to make yourself presentable, and I have work, so call me if anything happens. Stay safe, buy condoms. Mwah. With a final audible kiss, it left the call. Part of me felt guilty for lying straight through my teeth, but it was better than worrying it with risky decisions. Fuck, did I really sleep that long? Okay, we've seen this part. Alright, this time we're gonna say displeasing. I couldn't help but feel as if something was off about his appearance. His form appeared lifeless, like a cardboard cutout of a spokesperson or a shittily designed cartoon character. At the very least, it wasn't an old man like I assumed. Though for someone with such an uncanny occupation and important connections like he claimed, I expected more. I couldn't really clarify in what sense, but something felt amiss. I looked down at the mangled key hanging from his collar. He couldn't even find decent jewelry to bear for an event he desired so badly. Man, we are being mean. That key probably means a lot to him. Internally, I grimaced, attempting to comfort myself. It's for the transplant, I told myself. I had no other choice. I need to keep my guard up, but in an attempt to appear friendly, I smiled and waved as I got closer to the man. I could see his expression change at the sight of me, his eyes widening and his pupils dilating. Huh. I didn't think I could have such an effect on a stranger. Okay, so we've seen this. You can't do nothing different there. Alright, I think that might be the only ways we can do things. Let's see. Oh. Answer. Yes. Lie. Attractive. Okay, that's actually the only things we can do here. See what happens. Okay. Alright, I think this is the end of the road, guys. We got, one ending of murder, and then the other one was, like, gonna be continued on into the full game, which hopefully we will get a full game one day. It is kind of worrying that the demo was deleted, and, the creator has, you know, deleted all their accounts that I can find online. But maybe the creator just needs, you know, some time and is still working on it. You know, a good break from the internet is good for people. But I hope the dev is doing okay. This is an amazing game. I'm sorry I cannot link a link to the page for you guys, but we have now got to play it and experience it. I'm very thankful I downloaded this earlier in the year before it got deleted. So we got to experience it, and I really like it. Wow, he is so dangerous with a chainsaw. Oh my god. Oh my god. Got so many questions, like, are both those eyes really his? How does him and the pharmacist know each other? Will we ever see our friend Parasite in person? So many questions. Will we actually get our heart surgery? I hope. Well, maybe we'll find out one day. Alright, I will see you guys next time. Bye!